Amen. We've looked quite closely at early writings, page 277, paragraph 1 and 2. I'm hoping everybody now understands what that passage is dealing with. We then dealt with the king of the north and the king of the south, and we saw that even though it just appears that the king of the south comes up at the beginning, disappears and comes back at the end, you can see him, even though he's dormant or hidden, throughout that history. It's the same with the second angel. He comes in this history and he runs all the way through, and you see him again at the history here at the end of the world. So we've looked at early writings 277 paragraph 1. So we'll go back to GC 611. So that was a passage that people had originally taken us to, because we were looking at the day of Pentecost. Just want to go to paragraph 1. The angel who unites in the proclamation of the third angel's message is to lighten the earth with his glory. A work of worldwide extent and unwanted power is here foretold. The Advent movement of 1844 was a glorious manifestation of the power of God. The first angel's message was carried to every missionary station in the world, and in some countries there was the greatest religious interest which has been witnessed in any land since the Reformation of the 16th century. But these are to be exceeded by the mighty movement under the last warning of the third angel. So, what is she doing here in this passage? She speaks about the angel that's going to come and lighten the earth with his glory. So this is Revelation 18 verse 1. Everybody agree with that? Yes. She says when he comes down, this is GC 611 paragraph 1, there's going to be a worldwide work which has got unwanted power. What does unwanted power mean? If something is unwanted. Strange. Unexpected, unusual, or strange, uncharacteristic. So when he comes down, there's going to be a power that is unexpected. She's going to compare this. The Advent movement of 1840 to 44 was a glorious manifestation of the power of God. So this is Revelation 18 verse 1 to 3. He comes down and she's comparing this to 1840 to 1844. The first angel's message was carried to every missionary station in the world. In some countries there was the greatest religious interest which has been witnessed in any land since the Reformation of the 16th century. So, what's happening from 40 to 44?
The message is being taken to every missionary station.
Which message?
The first angel.
Okay, so we've got the first angel's message now. That's what she's referring to. So she's comparing this history to this history. And then she compares it to the Reformation of the 16th century. This is the German Reformation. But these are to be exceeded by the mighty movement under the last warning of the third angel. So, my brother, tell me what she means by the last statement. How do we put the third angel into this now? I've not diagrammed the Reformation because she doesn't give any information. She just says it in a generic sense. Who gave us this passage anyway? Who told us to come here? No one did? You must remember because I put that down on the board because someone shouted it out. Paragraph 2, I know. It's squabbling over here. Blaming each other. I know it was down over there.
So, is it to explain? Let's explain. Explanation.
Sorry, I don't understand what you're saying.
Okay. Your question.
I've diagrammed most of this. It says something about the third angel's message. What do I do?
Okay. What I understand from here is saying that the last one of the third angel is going to give grace when the work of the Father angel message and then the formation is the 15th one.
Okay. So, can I do a picture of it?
I think the picture is the first one.
Okay, so what do I do?
Put that angel message.
Here?
Yeah.
Brother Robert?
It's like angel of revelation.
What is?
Yeah, you ask him what is the statement, the last statement.
So just, is that picture work wrong or right? You agree with that picture work? So run us through the passage.
It says, the angel who makes in the proclamation of that angel's message is to lighten the whole earth with his glory. So this angel unites or joins the third angel to proclaim and lightens the earth with his glory. Revelation 18 verses 1 to 3. So the work of Revelation 18 verses 1 to 3 is to unite with that and proclaim it with more power.
Can you hear him at the back? Can't hear you.
Okay, I'm saying the first sentence says the angel who unites in the proclamation of the third angel's message is to lighten the whole earth with his glory. So the angel that lightens the whole earth with the glory of God is the angel of Revelation 18 verse 1. But yesterday we said that the word proclaim takes us to verse 2. Verse 2 is where he's proclaiming with a loud, I don't know if he's proclaiming with a voice, Babylon is falling. So, at some point in history, the angel of Revelation chapter 18 is going to join the third angel and unite his voice with him. Then it continues. So now she begins to compare the work that will happen when this angel of Revelation chapter 18 comes down with other histories. The first history is a work of worldwide extent and unwanted power is here foretold. The Advent movement of 1844 was a glorious manifestation of the power of God. The first angel's message was carried to every mission institution in the world, and in some countries there was the greatest religious interest which has been witnessed in any land since the Reformation of the 16th century. So, in comparing this work of worldwide extent and unwanted power that is going to happen under the administration of the angel of Revelation chapter 18, she takes us to the history of 1840 to 1844 and again compares it with the history of the Reformation. But the last part she says that, but this is referring to the movement of 1840 to 1844 and the German Reformation are to be exceeded by the mighty movement under the last warning of the third angel. So she had already mentioned the third angel in the beginning, and what the information she gave us about the third angel is that the third angel is being joined by the angel of Revelation chapter 18 in proclaiming his own. So that's how I'm understanding it.
So there's unexpected power. I'll put it up here. Unexpected power. And what else about the third angel? So it's worldwide, and it's the last what?
Last one.
The last warning. So it's a work of worldwide extent, unexpected power, and last warning. Who is the unexpected to? It says unexpected, unwanted power. Who's it unexpected? Who's not expecting it to be this powerful? Who's that referring to? It says it's unexpected. Brother William? Who's not expecting this power?
I think those who receive this unexpected power, the people living when the angel of Revelation 18 is united to the third angel. Whoever class is living in that history.
Whichever class is?
Living in that history.
Okay, there are two classes. There's us and them. Who's not expecting that power? Are you expecting it to be powerful? And they're not? Or you're not expecting it to be powerful, and they are, or they're not? The movement, or the people who give the message, or the people who receive the message? Who's not expecting it to be powerful? Both.
Yeah.
So
we expect it to have some power, but I think not as it will appear in the real sense they are thinking.
So why don't you think it's going to be powerful? Why don't you think it's going to be powerful?
I'm saying maybe we expect it to be powerful, but the way it's going to play out is not how we think. Yeah, we expect it to play powerful, but maybe it's going to play out differently than we expect.
Is unexpected the right word? Or should I put unusual? So you have some idea of how that's going to work, but it's not going to be how you think.
Yeah. That is what I'm suggesting.
What are you expecting? So whatever you're expecting is not going to be like that.
Of course I'm expecting the glorious manifestation. But now how this glorious manifestation is going to play out is what I'm not understanding.
Okay, so what are you expecting it to be like? Give me some things that you're expecting. I'll give you something. We're all going to be friends. Yeah. We're all going to be tight together. We're all going to be nice, loving, kind Christians. I'm expecting that.
I'm expecting that our message is going to prosper. Like the hostility we are seeing is going to be broken down in a way, and this message is going to be received by them, the one who will be giving the message.
Okay. What other things are we expecting? Going to be given by some clever person? You expecting it to be given by sorry?
By laymen.
Laymen? Clever laymen? Men of experience? What are we expecting? Okay, I'll leave that because people don't want to engage. Sister Emma, make application. What do we draw out from this now? So when we make an application, could be right, could be wrong. Everybody agree that this is factual? Have we changed anything, manipulated anything, original intent? Are we okay with that? You're not. What have I changed? What is not original?
It seems like the third angel starts earlier than when the angel of Revelation 18 arrives. In that picture, I'm seeing your angel.
Well, what about the first angel?
What about?
The first angel. When did the first angel begin? Okay, I'll do this one if you don't like the picture work. Is that better? Okay? Everybody else, is this accurate to what we've just read? Someone say something? Yeah. Anybody think I've missed something? What have I missed? Or what's wrong?
What I've got here is saying that these are to be explained by the mighty movement under the last warning of the third angel.
Okay, so you want me to put the word movement? Or what do I need to, what am I missing?
Maybe I want you to add a loud cry after.
Well, it doesn't say loud cry.
It's like,
does it?
That the loud cry will be.
Oh, does it say loud cry? Did I miss that?
No, it says loud cry.
So it just says mighty movement.
By this, the last portion that these are to be far exceeded.
But these are to be exceeded by the mighty movement.
Under the last.
Yeah. So what do I need to put?
Another waymark after Revelation 18 1.
And where's that other waymark coming from?
From that statement.
Can't hear you?
From this statement.
Yes, pull out the word because I'm missing it. I'm not seeing which word you're directing me to.
Under the last warning of the third angel.
The last warning of the third angel. Well, here's the third angel, and he's warning, and
another the last warning. Maybe that would be the first warning.
Where's the first warning?
That one there.
That one?
Yes.
And the last one is something afterwards?
Yeah.
So you disagree with what Brother Robert said?
Kind of.
Okay. So you're saying the first sentence, the angel who unites in the proclamation of the third angel's message is to lighten the earth with his glory. So here, he unites with the third angel. That's the lead sentence, and there's glory here. She says that event is power. So it says?
Yes.
So that's powerful. Here, where that dot is power. Then it says, this power here is paralleling this power here. You have that? I've missed the 16th century because she just says it in a generic term without any information, so I don't know what to do with that. She says, the message was carried to every missionary station, which is worldwide. Every missionary station, worldwide. Agree with that? Then she says, but these, what are these? What are these?
I think that will mark them.
Which one? This one?
Yeah.
Okay. Brother, what do you think these mean?
Means the 18-foot fork movement and the formation.
The first two is he's comparing the angel we began there with.
Just tell me what these are.
1844, and then it's a 16th century Reformation.
Okay, so people are reading these to mean the Millerite line and the German Reformation line. Those two lines, even though they were a glorious manifestation of the power of God, the power under this history is going to be more. So the 16th century had power, the Millerite one had power, but this is going to have more power. You don't see these in that way. Can you see it that way now? The 16th century, semicolon, but these, so if I were to ask you what the these were, you'd have, these are a pronoun, I think. You have to go back and ask what the these are. And I think contextually it's the Reformation and the Millerite history. But the Millerite history and the 16th century are to be exceeded by the mighty movement under the last warning of the third angel. So the Millerite movement, the 16th century movement, is going to be exceeded by this movement. Is that good? So am I okay not to put another way, Mark? I'm okay not to put I'm okay not to add anything more. So, when he says the last warning of the third angel, it seems to me that the last warning is this one, because the first warning was this one. If that's okay. It's been warning, but this is the last warning. What we'll do, if you're willing, is to overlay early writings 277 paragraph 1, and only on this legitimacy. This is 611, and this chapter begins in 603, only a few pages before, and the chapter title is The Final Warning, which contextually, if you start reading from 603 down, I can't remember exactly what page it is, from about 4 to 7, I think, it starts dealing with the Sunday law issue. She starts speaking about the Sunday law. So I'm saying this is Sunday law history when this happens. And I think we showed that from early writings 277. Just from this diagram here. 1844, then you've got 4 chapters. The 4 chapters are spiritualism, covetousness, shaking, the sins of Babylon. And I'm saying that's a chiasm from the structure of the chapters, and then it talks about the loud cry, and then it talks about the third angel's closes. But before the shaking, the chapter that came before that is called the third angel. So you have the third angel, and the third angel closes, then the time of trouble, and then you have the loud cry before that, and then you have these 4 chapters in between this. So I'm saying the loud cry chapter of early writings is talking about the Sunday law history. So I think we can establish that even from the language. So I'm going to put Sunday law here. Sunday law you can't get from just this isolated paragraph, but in its context you can. Is anybody got a problem with that? Are you okay with that? Sister Emma? Can you make application? What is she? Obviously she's done this, but under the surface I'm saying we can dig out quite a bit of detail. Perhaps we can't. I'm not trying to set you up if you can't do it, that it's doable, maybe it isn't doable. So as she's thinking about this, this is the problem. When we were talking yesterday, privately, this is the problem of how you, I think, of how you are supposed to approach a problem. I'm suggesting. So we try and read the statement as is. We try and diagram it because it helps us to clarify what's important and what is not important. And once we do that, then we say, how do we try and draw some additional truth out based upon what we already know about certain things? We know things about our own history, we know things about the Millerite history. If we were going to do this properly and spend some time, we'd have to go into the Reformation history, and we could draw that when it went worldwide, when the power happened, and we could draw truth out of that. I don't know that line well enough, which is why I haven't put it down, and she's just really sort of general about it. But she gave a bit of detail about the Millerite history. So what I'm trying to ask Sister Emma to do is, how do we get this and squeeze out more truth from that? Not just us doing this, but you can see it buried in the details. There's stuff buried in the information that she's given us. That's what I think we should be doing, instead of doing it. Often we're quite lazy about it, and we cut corners, and when we do make applications, I think sometimes we do it in the wrong way. So I'm not saying we can get anything out of it. I've read this verse lots of times before, and I haven't done anything with it. I just thought, sounds good, paralleling two histories, and I read on. But because we're here, someone gave it to us, I just want to, they gave us verse 2, paragraph 2, I want to see, can we use some of the rules that we've thought about and take anything more out of that? That's what I'm asking to do.
Okay, so Ellen White here was comparing the Millerite history to our history when they say that Sunday law is where the second angel is going to give power to the third angel. This is going to be the last warning given to the world. That's why I'm thinking of Sunday law, because we know that's the last test that's going to come to the world. And when that test comes, this power is going to be manifested through this message is going to exceed or surpass or outdo in some way the power that was manifest in the Millerite history and in the Reformation time period. And the points that Ellen White brings out about that are that it's going to go worldwide, and that it's going to cause great religious interest, so great agitation on religious things. I see the Millerite history it increased in power. As it got to the midnight cry, and the rapidity of the message going to the people seems to be one point, that it went very quickly from August to October. I don't know what to do in the middle of the Millerite history, because we're saying it went to every mission station after 1840. It seems that it was before the Ottoman Empire that made it go worldwide to every mission station. But then after that, it seems more localized to America. It was put on April 19, and then it picks up power again. So it seems to maintain power, as I would see it, at the same level all the way through that history. So on April 19th, there's disappointment. We seem to get a shaking of the people, and then when the midnight cry,
I'm going to stop you. I know you've got a vast amount of information or knowledge about the Millerite history. I want you to tell us what applications you can make, not all the negative bits that you're not sure about.
Okay. So the application is that this is going to go in an unusual way around the world.
Yeah, but we've already got all of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
The last one is going to be greater, but in some way more unusual than the other two. I don't know how to get bigger than worldwide, I'm telling you, I don't know.
Okay.
Except that there's more mission stations now, there's more people, so it's going to be bigger than that.
I need the question again.
Tell me what more you can get from this.
What?
What more information can you glean from this paragraph? Now that I've diagrammed it.
But what I'm seeing is that she's comparing the history of the Millerites But
Don't tell us stuff we already know. Try and add to it. Because I'm going to go down to people. If we keep on saying what we already know, we won't get anywhere. We're all teachers, so we're trying to move on at a faster pace. I already know we're comparing the histories.
Just give me some minutes.
I
need to digest it.
Okay.
I think in the quotation, just say what are there, but maybe what we can add is to make an application, what the vision does. What she is doing is comparing the three streets, and the third street is going to exceed the other one. But what I'm saying in the comparison to make here, we just make some application to look at different.
That's what I'm asking. So do it.
I'm going to change it from Sunday Law to 9/11.
So you want to make that 9/11?
Yeah.
Like that?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah.
My brother?
I'm okay with this one.
I can't hear?
I'm okay with this one.
You can't add to that? No?
It's okay the way it is.
Yeah, so you can't add to it?
There's nothing you can add to it.
Okay.
So, for me, what I can see is that the angel of Revelation 1
Speak a bit louder. Angel of Revelation 18.
1 and 3 is to empower both the first angel and the third angel. Now making an application to our history, that's what I intended to give the comment. So meaning in our history, the first angel is going to be empowered by the angel of Revelation 1 and 3, and the third angel is going to be empowered by the same angel.
Which angel is going to?
Revelation 1 and 3 is going to empower both the first angel and the third angel.
So Revelation 18 is going to empower this message here.
In our history, I'm making an application.
Revelation 18 is going to empower the first angel.
And the third angel in our history.
And when does it empower the first angel?
9/11.
So you're doing that.
Yeah. And the third angel of Sunday.
So you're doing this. Okay, you're doing this history. You're saying that the first angel and 3E like this. Is that what you said?
Okay.
Speak loud.
What I'm saying is that the way we arrived yesterday, we saw how we formed the Millerite structure, and that reflects our reform line. So we cannot have the third angel without locating the previous two angels. That is first and second. And the way we arrived to 1840 to 1844, it is first locating the time of the end, the arrival of the first angel message, until the empowerment and how it was taken to all over the world.
Okay, so I didn't understand what you want me to add to that.
I'm saying that the way we know that we cannot have the third angel message that is in our time without having the previous messages.
Okay.
So if we have to do application of the Millerite history, the way we came up with the Millerite reform line, we have to locate in our timeline the time of the end, the arrival of the first angel message, and then where it is empowered until the arrival of the third angel message.
So tell me what to do.
So according to me, in our timeline, we have to locate the first angel message.
And why do we have to do that?
So that we can see the way from in 1840 we can see an angel who comes to empower
the first angel message. So the message arrives and then there is an empowerment.
Because what you're going to do is, if you're going to do that, you're going to have the first angel here, in this history,
Yes.
which is our history,
Yes.
but she's taken this and she's put it underneath, and you want to move it from underneath and you want to bring it back. And what will that do for you?
Yes, pardon?
Sorry?
I'm saying pardon.
You've got the first angel because she mentions it, and you've brought it back to here because you've sequenced first, second, and third. So now I've got this. Now what I'm going to do?
Okay, you locate the time of the end, because in the military history there was the time of the end, and you saw the characteristics. There is.
But she's not referring to the time of the end. She's referring to its empowerment, and she says the empowerment is the same as this. Are you going to end up doing this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, because the way we came up with military history is going to early writing 277, and the way an angel arrives and then it is being empowered, and then there's other angels who joins and the voices who joins.
That's not Millerite history. Unless you mean the comparing of it, because that's our history that she's referring to, 277. So, okay, I've got the first angel, I've got the time of the end, now what?
Okay, it's arrival of the first angel message.
Okay.
And then that first angel message has to be empowered.
Okay.
And then there is the second angel message, and then arrives, and then it is being empowered again.
And then what?
And it's being empowered with the angel. And then there are.
Which angel?
I'm saying there's arrival of the second angel message. And then when.
And what's empowering that second angel?
Yes.
What's empowering the second angel? What is empowering the second angel?
Okay, that empowers the second angel message. Same angel, the second angel message empowers. Because in first angel message we saw that it is not second angel message that empowers first angel message. It is the first angel message empowered by the same angel.
Okay. I'm going to leave it because I'm not sure what you're doing. Sorry.
I'm not going to give my answer. I'm confused.
Stop. A bit louder. Just tell us what you're going to do.
I'm saying I'm not going to give my views, but I'm confused.
You're asking a question?
Yes.
Okay.
About we have two lines there, so I'm like asking. The other one is dealing with a rigid group of people, because the other one I know is dealing with the.
It's too fast. This one's dealing with.
Who? It's dealing with a group of people. Which line is that?
Who?
Yeah. Then the other one I know it is the line with the Millerite. So.
This is the Millerite, and this is our line. This is the end of the world.
I'm now interpretation. I'm now asking.
I'm saying, can we draw something out of this? Some extra information. I'm not saying to draw another line out. Does that make it clearer? No. So, as an example, what someone said was, they're going to make this 1840 and they're going to bring it up to here. So an application they're going to make is they're going to stop making that Sunday law, they're going to make it 9/11, because they've lined up 1840 with 9/11. And they said this was the first angel's message, empowerment, and therefore 9/11 was the first angel's message, empowerment. They made that application. They can pick that out from that passage. That's what they said. Does that make sense? And then they said 3E would be the Sunday law. Does that make sense why they did that? So that was an example of someone making an application.
I think I can argue, because she's comparing the two histories, I think to me I have an understanding that history will repeat itself. And I will ask myself one question: what caused this Advent movement of 1840 to 1844 to be a glorious manifestation? And I will give my answer that it was the confirmation of the year-day principle, where the radical Islam was restrained. And so I'll come to that history of the third angel, and I ask myself, where does the same history repeat itself where the radical Islam is restrained? And I see 9/11. And I support that structure over there.
So you're going to support this structure because you've got Islam.
Yeah, and still at 9/11 is where the principle of that line is also confirmed. History repeats itself. Ellen White says that the parable will repeat to the letter. And we can see at 1989 was the king of the north against the king of the south. Yeah, time of the end as it was in the Advent movement.
Okay, so what you want to do is you want to get this and you want to shift it back.
Yeah, and look at previous events that had been happening.
Not events, just 9/11.
Yeah.
So you want to get this and you want to shift it back.
Yeah.
Which is what I've done here. Brother Rogers, tell me how you want to approach this passage.
So when you come to this to 40 to 44, there was an event that led to this message going worldwide. And I said he has identified an event concerning Islam. So I'm going to say when you come to the Sunday law, there will be an event that clusters around Islam that will give power to this message.
Okay, so you want me to put Islam here?
Yeah.
I don't have room. So I'll put Islam here. At the Sunday law.
Then when you go to the history of the Reformation, which you never draw out, you know the Reformation is going with power amid the tide of persecution. So I'm seeing that from the Sunday law to the close of, to whatever point, there is active persecution in that history and this message is going forward.
So I'll put Islam, and then I'll put persecution. It should go underneath here. So Islam and persecution, and this is from the Protestant Reformation. You're getting that thought. Anything else? Brother Robert?
I think I had the same in 1840. What makes them to be empowered is the fact that they had made.
They can't hear you.
The fact that they had made a prediction before the date and when it's fulfilled.
Okay, 1 second. So I'm going to put 1838 and I'm going to put prediction. And so we're going to say here, there's a prediction.
Yeah, I'm going to expect a prediction before the time.
Okay?
Yeah. So, 1838 was predicting 1840. Therefore, that prediction has to be predicting the Sunday.
Okay. What do we call the prediction? Not we. What does Ellen White call the prediction of the Sunday law? How does she phrase it? I think it's even in this chapter. What word does she use? Just put your hand up if you have an idea. No one? Sister Emma? Agitation. Are we okay with that? So I've got prediction. I'm going to put agitation. So what I'm saying is this benign agitation, as she would do it, she would say it. In the Millerite history is this prediction, and the prediction has obviously all the implications of how do you go about predicting, what's the rules and methodology of it, and we don't normally consider that when we talk about the agitation. What is agitation? Not the word itself, but how do you envisage as an Adventist the agitation of the Sunday law looking like? What are you thinking when you say agitation? Not you in the movement, you in an Adventist. Does everybody understand what I'm asking? Brother Manjit?
Agitate someone when you're convicted of sin.
Why is there an agitation about the Sunday law? I want a story that why is there an agitation about the Sunday law?
It's the end of your probation.
We've been agitating the Sunday law since 1844. The agitation of the Sunday law that she refers to is not going back to 1844. So I'm asking, what is producing, or why are you agitating the subject? Sorry? How do you know? No, not from prophecy. No, an Adventist. This is a straightforward quote, phrase from Ellen White. How does an Adventist talk about agitation? So you've said the agitation is not from 1844, it's because you know it's imminent. How do you know it's imminent? We've been saying the Sunday law is imminent since 1844. Adventists don't believe in repeat of history. I'm asking how an Adventist would approach this concept. The reason why I'm asking the question is, what can we extract from this data? We already know in this chapter, if someone can find the page, we'll read it, there's an agitation of the Sunday law. But this line, when you parallel it, is telling us that this is not some generic agitation like an Adventist thinks. This is a prediction that's being made. And there's a vast amount of difference between an agitation and a prediction. The agitation, has anybody found the page? Okay, so let's just read 605, because I'm pretty sure 605 is going to say something along the line that we know the Sunday law's coming. That's already built into this model, but I want to know how you know the Sunday law's coming. GC 605, paragraph. Heretofore, those who, this is for Sister Joy now, I'm asking the same question. Heretofore, those who presented the truths of the third angel's message have been regarded as mere alarmists. Their predictions that religious intolerance would gain control in the United States, the church and state would unite to persecute those who keep the commandments of God and have been pronounced groundless and absurd. It has been confidently declared that this land could never become other than which it has been, the defender of religious freedom. But as the question of enforcing Sunday observance is widely agitated, the event so long doubted and disbelieved is seen to be approaching, and the third angel's message will produce an effect which it could not have had before. So it's picked up the word agitated. Tell me what an Adventist does with that statement. Tell me what it actually means.
I think the fact that laws for Sunday observance are being urged upon the legislative powers.
Can you hear her at the back?
The fact that the laws for Sunday observance are being urged upon the legislative powers.
More? Okay, so if you read the passage, it says, but as the question of enforcing Sunday observance is widely agitated, who's doing the agitation? Brother Majid, who's doing the agitation? Okay, it's them. Whoever, someone said the church, it's not us. We're not agitating the subject. They're agitating the subject. And when the agitation is happening, how do we know it's being agitated? Because you can see. You can read in the newspaper, you watch on TV. You can see it's being agitated. So what do we know? The event so long doubted and disbelieved is seen to be approaching. Who's doing the seeing? We're doing the seeing because we're watching the news, and someone out there is agitating the subject of Sunday observance. So I don't think it would be the state, it would be the church that agitates it, bringing their influence to the government. They're pushing this subject, and we say, look, this is what we've been saying all along. And the third message will produce an effect which it could not have before. So there's something that's going on there. So we use the word agitation, and all of that has got nothing miraculous about it. Are we okay with that? You just hear what's in the newspaper, and we say, it's finally here. And then as we start talking about the third angel and what's about to happen, it produces an effect which it couldn't have happened, which couldn't have been before. My brother, why could it not have been before? Why could it have not happened before? It says it produces an effect which could not have been before.
To me, it is because of the prediction that most people are making.
There's no prediction. Brother Robert added that in. There's no prediction. Oh, what do you mean by prediction?
Well, in this statement, what is the predictions?
Sorry?
There are predictions here.
What's the prediction?
There are predictions that religious intolerance would gain control in the United States. That church and state will unite to persecute.
Okay, yes, so in the general say, we're predicting that church and state are going to come together and things are going to get bad. But it says it couldn't have happened before. Why couldn't it not happen before? Brother Robert?
The truthfulness of what we have been saying can now be seen happening in the world. So probably that's why it's going to produce an effect in the hearts of these people. They've been hearing it before, but they have not been acting upon it. Now we can see signs of what we've been saying happening in the world.
So he added something in there. When it says it will produce an effect, who's the effect upon? Sister Emma, who's the effect upon? Then. So Brother Robert said upon their hearts. So the effect is upon them. The third angel could not have an effect upon them because no one could see or believe what we're saying. Why can they believe what we're saying now? Because they or someone else is agitating the subject of the Sunday law. And therefore the prediction that we're making that something bad is going to happen is now believable, at least to some people. Are we okay with that? So we're not just saying here when Lich is making a prediction. By the way, how's he making his prediction? What's he making his prediction based upon?
I don't know whether it will answer your question, but around the same history of 1838, as Lich is making a prediction, something is also happening in the world that is also kind of what we are saying. There's something that is also happening. There's an agitation within the Islamic world that the people can see and relate to.
So how does he know?
How does he know?
There's agitation in Europe.
Newspapers.
It's exactly the same model. There's an agitation of a subject here that Lich can see, just like there's an agitation here that we can see. Are we okay with that? It's not Lich in his room doing some private thing. All of this is being stirred by an agitation of a subject. We don't call it agitation in this history. We call it the distress of nations. He's reading about the distress of nations, and we're reading about the agitation. So it's exactly the same parallel, but in this history, when there's this agitation or this distress, he's going to make a hard prediction about something. He's going to say something definite is going to happen. And so we're saying, based upon the agitation of the subject, we're going to make a direct prediction of something. In its most basic sense, as my brother said, what are we predicting? What are we predicting? The way you said it before.
Church and state.
Church and state come together, but when we think about the persecution, you said religious intolerance. So now we're making a hard prediction that what's about to happen is religious intolerance, and the religious intolerance is coming because church and state are coming together. So we're making that hard prediction. What else are we predicting? If we're going to do this, there's something going to happen with Islam. So we're making a prediction about Islam. So we're making two predictions. We could stop there, but if we're going to take this to its word, he makes a time prediction, and we could therefore be making a time prediction. I say we could, therefore. I think most of us in this room are comfortable. If we're talking about time predicting already, it's certainly going to be a time prediction there. So we can draw this additional truth when we start paralleling this. And I think you can only do that when you draw a structure. Are we okay with that? Making an application of this history and bringing it there. What you've noticed that hasn't been done is 1840 has not been taken out of the context in which Ellen White placed it. Do we see that? Because people were taking 1840 Islam and bringing it to 9/11. And whilst you can do that, I don't think that's what we should be doing. I'm going to suggest, I'm not being critical about this, but I'm suggesting this is not the right way to approach this passage. Because when you do this, it's not defendable in the same way that the structure that's being set up. Can you see that what we call prediction, you don't have to tell people it's a time prediction. You just call it, because you see agitation, because you see distress, it's a direct parallel. You could teach that to any Adventist and they would accept that, because that's taken from GC 605, paragraph 3. Are we okay with that? 605 paragraph 3. What you can do, if they're willing and you're able, is to say, this was a time prophecy, therefore this is a time prophecy. So this prediction becomes a lot firmer. And what are we predicting? We're predicting persecution because church and state are coming together. And then you can say, we're also predicting radical Islam is going to be involved in this history. You can make that hard prediction at the Sunday law, which you can't do if you do this. If you do this, you've lost your ability to put Islam at the Sunday law. Are we okay with that?
Something also that I'm drawing here is that previously this had prediction.
Before you do that, connected with what you're saying or a new subject?
Connected.
Okay.
Previous to this had prediction, there have been other predictions that seem to have been made in that history. So I'm also drawing the lesson that it's not going to be a singular prediction, but it's going to be one that is going to be more fun. So there have been predictions before.
Okay. Brother Rogers, anything more? Anyone else? Anything more? Okay. So we're going to stop here because time's run out. Sorry. Remember your question. Can you remember your question or your point? Oh, what's your question or statement?
It's an addition.
Okay, go ahead.
So
So in 1844 we see an activity in the sanctuary, so we should look for a parallel.
They can't hear you.
In 1844 we have an activity going on in the sanctuary above, and should look for a parallel going on the close of Revelation.
Okay, so what my brother's doing now, he's taking it as read, 40 to 44, and he's created a second waymark here. If I'm reading you correctly. So if you're making a second waymark, we can come in here and make an application. And here is a shut door, and here therefore would be a shut door, and here it's holy place to most holy place. Am I following me through with your thought? And here it's most holy place to leaving. So we could do that. Is that reasonable? Once you do that, this end, and once you've done that at this end, now it's interesting what we can do in the middle. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we want to thank you, Lord, for your goodness and mercy. Lord, help us in this preparation day to not only prepare our hearts, our bodies, but also our minds. Lord, help us to delve into the depths of your word, to try and understand rules and systems and methods, to try and extract truth from your word. We were taught that as we are able to refine our understanding of your word, so we will have a corresponding refinement in our character. May we exhibit this refinement in our actions and our behaviour today. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.